Well, hey, Roots family. I'm Pastor Dave. This is my wife, Mary, that you know, and our newest baby, Kate, who's been in our life for a little while. And this is Jake and Kirsten McLean and Isaac and Eli. And most of you know them, and you are good friends with them. But for those of you who don't know, Jake and Kirsten have been a huge part of Roots pretty much since the beginning, right? 5.5 years. Almost as soon as Mary and I landed in Seattle, we met Jake and Kirsten, and God has really used our friendship, right? And God has used them in incredible ways for the kingdom. And so part of tonight, we want to tell their story, and we also want to talk about kind of what God's doing next in your life as a family. And we know that you've been praying for many years about what God would have you do and where He's going to lead you, and He's kind of giving you some direction. So will you share with us real quickly about that?
Yeah, we've been, like Dave said, at Roots for a long time, since the beginning, and it's been such a blessing, and that's been our, the biggest thing and the reason we love and being in Seattle. And but we've been praying also for many years about moving and cut.
Well, that was interesting. We wanted to show a little bit of real life with kids. That child is now in bed and deeply loved by his parents. So what we were talking about is kind of what God's doing in your life and where He's leading you.
Yeah, so Kirsten and I have been praying for a few years, really, about when to move and when, God's calling us to move. And He's really called us to stay and be a part of Roots for so long, and it's been really a blessing. But yeah, we recently, just from work and a lot of open doors, to move to Bend, Oregon. It'll be really close to a lot of my side of the family, where her family is intending to move. So there's a lot of, just real cool blessings about that. And so our next stage of life will be moving around Christmas down to Oregon.
Yeah. And this, even making this video, is bittersweet, right? Because we love you guys so much and gonna miss you a lot. But we know that God moves people in different seasons into different things, and we're really excited about what He's going to do next through the McLeans in Oregon. Yeah. So just for people who don't know you and weren't here at the very beginning, how did you guys get to Roots? Can you share that a little bit?
Yeah, we at the time were engaged. We were going to Epic Life Church, which is the church that Roots kind of interned with, or really Dave and Mary interned with, and then launched out of. And we met Dave and Mary, I think your first Sunday there. And Dave said, "Hey, we're starting a church in Roosevelt." And we were living, or independently living in Roosevelt at the time, and planning to stay there when we got married. And thought, hey, let's jump on that. We were hoping to start a Bible study with Epic Life, and we said, well, let's just hop on a church. Jumped right in.
Yeah, and on our end, coming into the city, not knowing anyone, you guys being a couple of the first people we ever met, and just really were an answer to prayer on our end of God saying, hey, here's some people who've been praying for a church in Roosevelt, and I'm answering your prayer, right? There are people who are longing for this, And it's cool. A huge encouragement to us, and we've seen how God's used it, right?
Yeah, it's
in
pretty
so
crazy.
Many different ways.
Was it 6 of us at that time in a living room, and then to where Roots is at now, and where it was right before COVID, and how it's still growing through COVID. It's kind of a crazy thing to see the growth of that.
Yeah. So for you guys, what are some of the things that you would say God's taught you through kind of this church starting process of being a part of Roots from the ground up?
Yeah, I think things that we've learned the most is just kind of, I think, in a more realistic or maybe practical way of, your church is your family, and it's not just a place where you go to kind of check off your Christian list. And it's almost, when a church plant, you kind of have to be all in, because it's, you. And so it makes, I guess when you read stories of the early church in the Bible, it makes it feel a little bit more tangible, because you're kind of experiencing it in a similar way.
Yeah. Kirsten, what about you? Anything?
I think it's just really taught me what church can be, that it's not just a thing that you go to on Sundays. It's really a community and a family, because it started out so small and the culture was so tight knit, and new people would come and we'd immediately be like, oh, let's be friends, come join. And so just seeing that culture has continued to be woven throughout the fabric of Roots and continues is just really exciting to see and be a part of, and continue to see grow and multiply.
Yeah. And we know you guys are going to be a part of Roots forever. We'll never let you go. I'm just kidding. But no, the connection is going to stay there, right? And the fruit of what God's done through you guys. I mean, many of you watching this video are connected in some way through Jake and Kirsten, and just the people that God's used you to bring to Roots and to connect to Roots.
Looking back, what would you say is like a favorite memory or moment, like a time in the last 5 or so years?
Yeah, that's tough to think of just one. We were talking about it earlier today, like a favorite memory. I think there's a lot of favorite memories, Sundays at volleyball, because I think there was just a really cool mix of, it was sunny in Seattle for
right, yeah. And
you
remember those.
Yeah, you remember those days. They stand out.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of sweet moments of just having fun, but it was just this natural. People would come in and felt like half the volleyball group didn't even really know who or what Roots was, and but still came regularly, and so there's a lot of connections of people getting plugged into the church, but also just a lot of fun, camaraderie, and competitiveness. So that was a highlight. But I think above that, and give a plug, is like Cambodia. That was just such a wonderful highlight to kind of see. Dave and Philip and I got to go as the most recent team that went, and all the work that Dave, you had done in your kind of previous ministry before Roots, and see all that growing on its own, and then get to serve and help them in the ways that we could help them. And it's just kind of this fun picture of you came to Seattle, we met, and then Philip, people may or may not know Philip, but he got plugged into Roots, and he was moved to California a couple years ago, and there's just kind of a cool legacy of the three of us going. So that was fun.
Yeah. And God used that so much in the Cambodian church and in our church. Which that's neat. Yeah. Kirsten, what would you say? Favorite memories?
Favorite memory? I just love telling this story that we moved unexpectedly. I was about 8 months pregnant with Isaac, and we decided to move, and we kind of needed to get out that night, and we just sent a text out to the Roots group me, which was about 15 people at the time, and I think all 15 showed up within 10 minutes with trucks and boxes and packing tape, and we were completely out of our apartment, in our new apartment, in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So and awesome. It blew me away. I didn't do anything. And just seeing that people are willing to lay down everything and help other people is just such a beautiful picture of Roots. And I really hope that just continues to stay, and that people know that you can ask for that help, and people will give that help to you because they want to. I love you guys.
Yeah. We've had a lot of fun and funny memories too. Speaking of moving, Roots was helping us move one time, and one person had the keys, and one person was with all the people at the new house waiting to get in the pouring rain. And Jake the Snake, that's when he got that nickname, climbed up through a
tiny.
I think it's 4 inches, right?
You had to turn your head
probably
sideways.
a foot deep window that's 7 feet in the air, and climbed down into our shower. And went in and unlocked the door. The stuff of legends, right? But the life of Roots in the last 5.5 years, there's been so many different unique markers, right? Living rooms, different living rooms. Starting multiple groups, right? Moving to a pub for a while, and then moving to Ravec in the recital room, and then the gym. And now COVID, and COVID is going to be a marker, right, for Roots and for our church, and it's going to be something we're going to rebuild from and have to grow back into and walk through as a community. So, what advice would you guys give to people as they walk through life with Roots and in this community, maybe that you've learned from these years being a part?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think just jump right in. You know, people, it's a small church, so there's always things to do and people to meet and people that want to be your friends. So don't think that people don't want to be your friends, because they do. And so I would just jump in. You know, if you're a woman, get involved going to women's events. If you're a guy, you know, try to get involved in things that are happening with guys. And yeah, just trying to get involved. Even though this is a really weird time, there's still some organic events happening and you know, COVID safe events happening. And so just try to get involved and meet people, because people want to be your friend and they want to share life with you and be in a growth group with you and serve alongside you.
Yeah, I think, yeah, my advice would be pretty similar. Let's see. Yeah, I guess maybe what I touched on earlier, that when you read about the early church, they were also committed in so many ways. And so make sure your faith in your life kind of reflects that as well. And if you're at church, be committed. You know, if you're at Roots, be committed to Roots. And maybe changing, I just would love the perspective on a whole of everyone. You know, if every Christian just had the idea, instead of what am I going to get from the church that I'm going to, how can I give to it and help it grow? Because no church is perfect, no human's perfect. But if you commit and you're, you know, to it, and what can I give to it? How can I help it grow? Because Roots is still growing, you know, and hopefully Seattle being a, you know, transient city, people will be coming and going over time. So there's so many people who don't know Christ. So I guess, yeah, COVID makes it, everyone's thinking about their physical health a lot right now, but let's not forget about our spiritual health too, and lean kind of over and past, you know, what you need to do to make that happen.
Is there anything else you guys want to share with Roots family?
I think it's really hard to leave. I mean, you know, like we're ready for this stage of our family to move and to be closer to our extended family, but leaving this community and this family, it's really hard. And so we are faithful that God will provide that where we're going. I'm not worried about that. I know that there's some awesome churches there, but Roots is something really special. So we really, just appreciate you guys being our family and pouring into us and pursuing us and encouraging us towards Christ and just loving this community together.
Yeah, I'd say, there's lifelong friendships for sure that run deep, and they'll, you know, the blessing is we're only one state away versus a country away, so that's nice. But yeah, we had talked about a couple years ago and considered moving. And God really called us to stay, and we had a ton of, you know, of joy and peace around that because of Roots and the friendships and the connections that we have here, and, you know, our growth group, and just how tight and how much we've grown through that ourselves, you know, personally. And so that's going to be tough to leave, and I think that's a good thing. You know, I'm really thankful that it's the hardest thing to leave is kind of our faith community, and so I guess, sum it up and just be thank you. You know?
I was gonna say, we want to thank you for your friendship and like loyalty and the way that you have perceived everything. Like you've seen Roots as something that you pour your life into, and you've never just kind of sat back. I feel like you always are seeing people and including them and inviting them into your home. You're an amazing host and hostess. You're always just open house, you know, like come and be with us. And I think that just as Christians, you know, you're such an example for us, for me, for so many people. He's over there slurping. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. You're a really special couple, just with everything you know about engineering and that kind of mental, you know, and your advice and friendship and your artistry, your art that you've blessed Roots with creatively. So you guys are really special and a lot of friends.
Yeah, and just your willingness to jump in wherever's needed. I mean, Kirsten, you led the creative team for a long time. Jake, you led the setup team and masterminded a lot of how we set up the gym and everything, you know, and growth group, and just played a bunch of different roles. And in the beginning, everybody was wearing every hat, right? And so just thank you for your willingness to jump in and serve and love people well and love Roots well. And just from the bottom of our hearts, we're grateful.
You guys are hard workers. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and we love you guys a lot. We're going to miss you. But we're excited for you, and we know that God has big plans.
We'd like to just thank you guys too. You know, Roots wouldn't exist, you know, without Dave and Mary, and they're the ones never leaving with Roots, and so it shouldn't be about us. It's,
Yeah.
And so we just want to thank you guys, because it wouldn't, you guys pouring into us and helping create this space for others to come in that we got to be a part of and help serve with. Thanks doesn't do enough, but thank you.
Thanks. Well, we love you guys.
Yeah.